Susan LeBlanc, and this is Conversations with the Goodman School of Business. And my guest today is Wayne Gale from a very well-known company here in the Niagara region, Stokes Seeds. Welcome, Wayne.
Thank you.
You are the president
Yes.
of Stokes Seeds, and now Stokes has a long history in this area. We were chatting a little bit before. It's actually touched 3 centuries now. You don't hear that very often. The company's been around for 100 and...
Yeah, since 1881 was the original company when Mr. Stokes first started it, yes.
Yeah, and your family took over, which I found fascinating. Your grandfather bought the company from Mr. Stokes during the Depression.
Yes, he went to work for the company. He was at Guelph University for a fruit trimming course, because of course this was being the fruit area. And he heard that Mr. Stokes was looking for a salesman here in Canada. They had offices in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Texas. So he's looking at expanding into Canada, looking for a salesman. So yeah, he signed up as a salesman for all of Canada.
And then the Stokes company was falling on a bit of a hard time during the Depression, as everyone was. And your grandfather stepped up and bought the company.
Yes, I have actual statements for the company in 1934, and it is literally covered in red ink. They were losing a lot of money, except for Canada and in the New Jersey office were the only 2 that were making money. So they decided to wind the company down sort of without going into bankruptcy, paid off their debtors. And my grandfather continued to operation in Canada.
Wow. And so the company, this is the other wonderful and fascinating part, is it's still in the family.
Yes.
Your grandfather purchased it, your father took over from him, and now you've taken over from your father. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, 100% owned, family owned, stayed within the family the whole time. We've had different family members in the company and part of the ownership structure. And that's basically why I do the course with Professor Menzies is on succession planning.
Right.
Not only that, we've been a member of CAFE as well, Canadian Association of Family Enterprises. So I bring all those things into a bit of a discussion about succession and maybe some of this, what it takes to have a successful succession plan.
Right, yeah, and that is very important in family-owned businesses, because I think it becomes one of the biggest challenges from what I've heard, is that you may have children who don't want to take over the business, or how do you, if there's two children, both want them, how do you do that? So it's a very complex thing, and it requires a lot of thought.
Yeah, well, the saying is shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve in 3 generations.
Right.
Most companies don't survive the 3rd generation.
Right.
It's less than 10% make the 3rd generation, and then the 3rd generation usually at some point messes it up or gets out.
Right.
So yeah, we've had different members of the family involved. We've had the 3 succession plans. The first one was my grandfather's and was pretty much a traditional will. My father and his brother got into a disagreement, and the company had to be sort of settled between the 2 brothers, and my father ended up owning the company. And then that gave us the opportunity to do a more planned succession. And then we just wrapped up that one and created a 3rd succession plan, which is my succession plan for my heirs.
So and it's hopefully it's going to be staying in the family?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Every generation's been different. My generation doesn't have a clear family member to be in the business, so that's created some challenges.
Wow.
But what I always try and do is make sure that I have there's 3 major sort of planning elements of a succession plan. One is the ownership plan, like who's going to own the company. The next one is the management plan, and sometimes the owners aren't part of the management team, so you have to be careful of that. And the one that usually messes up most family succession plans is the financial plan. Right. And that is like, the shares are going to transfer, the ownership's going to transfer, and even if you will it and give it for free, there's usually tax implications.
Right.
And that's usually the big stumbling block of a lot of succession plans, where the money that was required to make that succession proper ends up killing the company.
Wow.
And we've seen that here in St. Catharines at a number of companies. Those that remember Coy Brothers, the hardware store downtown.
Right.
That was one brother bought the other brother out, and then it just became financially difficult. They eventually ceased operation. Of course, big box hardware stores moved in as well.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah.
there's probably more than just that, but
Yeah.
there's been a lot of different family businesses in even in St. Catharines that aren't here today.
Yeah, and you sort of touched on this. You've been coming and speaking to Professor Teresa Menzies' class for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
I think you were saying. So and so you talk to the students about this very thing, the importance of succession planning, how you deal with family business.
Yeah, I go through our 3 succession plans, and some of them are good, some of them are not too bad, and some of them are great.
Mm-hmm.
And I score each of the plans against those 3 pillars of how well did we do against those 3 pillars.
Right.
I also talk about some of the value statements that I have, because I think it's important to share even just simple business values statements with students as they grow up. A lot of the students are actually members of the family businesses in their own right. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I hear some of their stories. And I always get lots of questions.
Yeah, I bet. And we didn't mention really what Stokes Seeds is. Maybe give us a little bit of I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, seeds, but I mean, it's a very big business.
Yeah, we have offices in New York, New Jersey. Actually, our one office in New Jersey is only a few miles from the original office of Stokes, which I always thought was kind of funny because we acquired that office from one of our suppliers. And then we have the 2 offices here. We have our main office here in Thorold, just a few mile away from the university.
Right.
And then we also have the farm out on Lake Shore, just outside of Port Dalhousie. And that's where we test different products and see how suitable they are. And we sell vegetable and flower seeds, so only the stuff you would have in your backyard.
Right.
We sell to commercial growers and to home gardeners. So our smallest order is $5. Our biggest customer is well over $500,000.
Wow.
Sells to Sobeys and Loblaws.
Wow.
Sells on the Toronto Food Exchange and also a lot of the farmer markets. So if you've bought sweet corn from a local roadside stand, you've probably eaten corn from our warehouse.
Wow, that's fantastic. Listen, thank you so much for coming by. It's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful local story. It's a wonderful success story, and we wish you another 3 centuries of, as I said, you've touched on 3, the 1800s, and all of the 1900s, and you're into the 2000s now, so we hope it carries on. And thank you so much for all the time you give to our students coming in and speaking to them, because I know it's extremely valuable for them to hear from somebody firsthand who's
They've been a
living
great audience. They ask lots of questions, and I really enjoy coming.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for stopping by and chatting with us, and hopefully we'll chat soon.